Well, Tarik Skubal didn't just set the market, he broke the record. And he's not taking it back to the bullpen, but we are. Framber Valdez joins him. The two-headed monster in Detroit is something fierce. And off the beaten path tonight, what will we talk about? Let's find out right now.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. Insinuate house will swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, man, I ain't talking expense. Strike one, hit it low in the way you can't hit it. You know you want to start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walk your back, looking like we ain't cool then. The game's over, might as well put them back to the bullpen, oh yeah.
That's right, and we are bringing it back to the bullpen with myself and my fearless leader, partner in crime, Mike Stanton, the old 2-9er. Mike, welcome in. How has your week been so far? We're coming into a weekend, and we're getting closer and closer to pitchers and catchers reporting.
Oh, yeah, it's right around the corner now, and, these guys are really cranking it up. I still get all the emails, even though I'm not covering the Astros right now. I still get all the emails about, when the truck leaves and, the equipment truck and all that kind of stuff, and that means that, yeah, it is right around the corner. Still a lot of information out there. Still a lot of guys on the free agent market, but one way or another, whether you got a job or not, spring training is about to open.
Yeah, and there are a lot of guys. It's funny you mentioned that. There are a lot of guys that don't have a job right now.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of high-profile guys.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about Framber Valdez in a second. But to be exact, 5 days until pitchers and catchers report, 15 days until spring training games, 27 days until the World Baseball Classic, and 48 days until opening night. Now, this is what's crazy. In Houston, Mike, you have opening day on Thursday. That Saturday, you have the Sweet 16 at the Toyota Center in downtown Houston.
About that.
So you've got opening weekend, the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8. What a weekend. What a time to be alive in Houston sports. And on top of that, we'll have just had the World Baseball Classic. So, look, the sky's the limit. But let's talk about the man of the hour. Tarik Skubal, back-to-back Cy Young winner, goes to arbitration, and the arbiter said, you know what, Skubal? You earned it. You earned that $32 million. But what I want to know, Mike, how did this happen? What went down?
Well, it seems like Major League Baseball and the Tigers kind of messed this up a little bit, and the reason they did how they did it was by the original offer that they made, which was, and I'm not talking about arbitration number, when they were still negotiating a contract, they offered $19.75 million. You're like, oh my goodness, that is such a big number. And it is, okay? But that number is the exact same number that David Price got 11 years ago in arbitration. So that was the record. Okay, David Price, left-handed pitcher, had won a Cy Young. Okay, anything like what Tarik Skubal has done, but that was the record. Well, here's the thing. When you go in your last year of arbitration, your fifth year, okay, and he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year, the rules state that now you don't just get to compare yourself to people inside your class, okay, meaning your how much time your service class. You actually get to compare yourself to open free agency, to regular free agents. And that's where the $32 million came in. Okay. And so if you look at the midpoint, and again, the midpoint is the key. It said at first, this set a record with what the asking price was for Skubal, which was $32 million. It is also the biggest differential between the two numbers, which was $13 million. Okay. I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers out there, but just remember is the key. The numbers don't matter. It's the midpoint that is the key. And the midpoint was $25.5 million. You're like, oh my goodness. For a guy that's not even in free agency, that's a great number. It is. But you also, there are, when you win awards, you kind of get special credit for that. And he's not won one award. He's won 2 awards. He's arguably the best player on the planet, the best pitcher on the planet, winning back-to-back American League Cy Youngs. And so now all of a sudden you go, okay, well, $25 million on the open market, that's like maybe a 2 or a 3 starter in a rotation. That's not an ace. That's not a guy that's the best pitcher on the planet. So now you go up from there. And the reason the midpoint is the key here is because what you have to do, what Skubal had to do, is he had to prove that he was worth $25.5 million plus $1.
Okay.
And then what the Tigers had to do and Major League Baseball had to do was prove that he was worth less than $25.5 million. Well, how are you going to do that for a back-to-back Cy Young Award winner? A reigning back-to-back Cy Young Award winner, the best pitcher on the planet. I mean, so now you can understand how this happened. Now, if they would have upped the ante, they being Major League Baseball and the Tigers, if they would have upped the ante and bumped that number up a little bit, now maybe they have a chance of winning. But by lowballing the number, reducing it by $750,000, you can understand why the arbitrator. And by the way, it's not one arbitrator. It's actually a panel of 3.
Wow. Okay.
And it wasn't just one dude that was making this decision. It was the panel that was making this decision. And yeah, by the way, I think Framber might have had a little something to do with this also, because if you look at the timing of this. Let's see, the hearing was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday or the day before.
Right.
I think it was yesterday. And the decision came out today. Well, in that time, since the hearing was over and the time that they announced this, well, they signed Framber Valdez to $38.3 million a year for 3 years. So now you're talking about the best pitcher on the planet, not even going to be the highest paid pitcher on your team.
Exactly. So Framber sets the record for lefties right now.
Right.
38.3. Like you said, 115 over 3 years. He can't opt out after year 2.
Yeah.
It automatically, though, sets the Tigers up that if Skubal were to get traded by the trade deadline or walk next year and go into free agency and go to another team, they would still have someone like Framber Valdez. Now, losing Skubal and keeping Framber, it's not like you're replacing apples with apples. But
Framber's good, but Framber is not Tarik
Framber's
Skubal.
not Skubal. Well, and here's the thing, too, Mike. Skubal was like, Framber got how much? Yeah, baby. That means I'm going to go north of that, because Skubal right now, Mike, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say this guy's easily going to be pushing close to 50 million per year.
Yeah, I think it's probably 40 is going to be the number, but it's going to be a long time. He's 29 years old. Okay, right now he's 29 years old. Okay, so he's right in the heart of his prime. I mean, they're talking numbers like we were talking about Kyle Tucker, $400 million, so 40 per for 10. We'll have to wait and see if that works. But he's also, you got to remember, he's also the leading candidate for the 2026 Cy Young Award. So I mean, you're talking about pretty unprecedented situation here. But this was one of those things, and one of the things that I was looking at that I thought that the Tigers had going in their favor, which obviously the arbitrator didn't buy into whatsoever, was the fact that there had never been anybody make even $20 million in that last year of arbitration, as far as pitchers is concerned, and the pitchers' numbers in arbitration have not gone up like the position players had. Position players had gotten a much more. And that's, some people think that's what Scott Boras was really trying to do. So what did they do? They completely bypassed the whole $20 million window.
Right.
And went straight into the 30s. So precedence was set. And I Scott Boras, I think knowing Scott Boras, the way he works, I think this was part of this negotiation that he put the number so high, just a little bit above what Juan Soto got, which was, I think, $31 million per year in arbitration. So he blew that out of the water too.
So, okay. So Mike, looking into 2026,
Mm-hmm.
I was bantering back and forth with some Tigers fans, some Tigers commentators on X today. And, about half of them think that Skubal will be here the entire year.
Hmm.
What do you think the Tigers should do? If they are in contention, if they are leading the AL Central, is there any scenario or any package that would be worth, even if you're in contention, to trade Skubal? That way he doesn't walk and they don't get the Ohtani effect, like Ohtani leaving Anaheim and Anaheim getting nothing for it.
So the first thing that I heard was that, okay, well, this means they're going to trade Skubal. Skubal's not going anywhere. Not right now. Okay?
Right.
And to tell you the truth, he is not more valuable now than he will be at the trade deadline. And you go, well, hold on. If they traded for him now, they would get a full season of him instead of just 2 months at the trade deadline.
Right.
That is true. But the kicker is there is no emotion now. There is nothing going, this would be strictly a business move. You don't have the emotions of trying to win a pennant. And that's why the trade deadline is actually more valuable. So I don't think the package would be bigger now than it will be at the end of July. Okay.
Makes sense.
So I think that everybody could probably agree on that. There's a good chance that he doesn't get moved. And as much as that would set the franchise back, because when you're trading a guy like Skubal at the trade deadline, you're talking about a massive package coming back of maybe big league, some young big league players, many prospects. I mean, you're talking about multi players coming back in return. But I think with them signing Framber, I think you're talking about, the Detroit Tigers are probably the pick in the Central now. That they're the team that is probably, going to be everyone's preseason pick to win the Central. And I think if they're playing competitive baseball and they're, maybe they're not in first place, but they're right there, I don't think he gets moved. I think they we've seen several teams do this. We've seen the Kansas City Royals did it a couple different times, several years ago, trying to win another World Series or trying to get to another World Series, kept some guys that they probably shouldn't kept, and it cost them. We saw the Washington Nationals do it, keeping guys that they probably shouldn't kept, trying to give it one more run. That
one more try,
and that's the trade-off. So I think that the Detroit Tigers, there is a scenario that if they're playing well, and, the front office thinks that, we got a shot of really going deep into the postseason, then, and listen, when you have a 1-2 punch like Skubal and Framber, you do have a chance, especially in a short series, because those guys are going to pitch at least 3 of the 5 games, if not 4 of the 5 games. So I think there's a chance that, no, he doesn't get moved and they just play out the contract and let him go to free agency. I can tell you this, he's not going to be a Tiger next year. That's for sure.
Right. So we know Skubal's all but gone, but Framber Valdez, I want to talk about him because here's a guy that you and I have talked about since the beginning of the offseason. Like, where is Framber going? Clearly one of the most durable left-handers, has done more than most pitchers, but someone in the press put out, I don't know if you know this, Framber Valdez leads with most home runs giving up in the postseason since 2020. And so people are already trying to throw shade on that. He's thrown, I believe he's given up either 14 or 20 home runs in the postseason. Of course, someone also countered that with saying, well, he has, but it's also a smaller sample size and you have fewer games. So you're going to have you're going to have different numbers. But my question to you is this with Framber Valdez in his makeup. he reunites with AJ Hinch. AJ Hinch was his manager the first 2 years. AJ Hinch is kind of known as a sports psychologist type of coach,
Sure.
right?
Very cerebral. Yes.
Do you think that knowing the immediate issues that we saw with Framber this last year, that there will be discussions between Hinch and Framber and the pitching coaches about, hey, how are we going to attack this season? About his mentality. Do you think they're going to go there when he gets there to make sure that Framber is locked in mentally?
Yeah, so he's given up 14 home runs in the postseason.
14.
Okay.
Yeah.
That took me a second, but yeah. Is there going to – no, I don't think there's going to be a conversation to start off with. You know, or at least not an official conversation. You know, Framber, we need to talk about what happened last year. I don't think you're going to have that. I think that, you know, what you're going to do is you're going to give him every opportunity until something happens, if something happens, because you got to remember, we didn't see, the dark side of Framber for a long time. Yeah. And actually there was a lot of discussion about how he had matured, once he, him and his wife had the baby, now he's a father and life was different. So was what happened last year, was it just a hiccup? Maybe, but I do think it cost him a long-term deal. Now, I was discussing this with someone earlier today about, are we out of control with our AAVs? No, not on the short-term deals. I think most of Major League Baseball is completely on board. I think even Jim Crane is completely on board with spending the money on a short-term deal. It's the long-term deals, that long-term exposure on the books that is the real problem. That owners and organizations don't want to have that exposure. So, no, I don't think there's a conversation. I think that, especially at the beginning, everything is going to be roses. Everybody's going to be nice. Framber has gone through the stress of free agency and had to wait until just a week or, 8 days, 9 days till pitchers and catchers to get his contract. I don't think he's there for 3 years. I think he does probably opt out if he's pitching well at all, because there will be $40 million left or $38 million left. Actually, to tell you the truth, the AAV is $38.3 million, but it's actually, there is deferred money. We're not sure how much it is. I haven't seen how much it is.
He got a signing bonus and he had deferred money.
Signing bonus takes away from the AAV as far as the luxury tax is concerned. And then there was also some deferred money. So the actual value of the contract isn't 38.3, but that's what we're going with because that's what the numbers say. But I think, so there'll be $38 million for that last season, but I think that he's going to be 34 or 35 years old. If he pitches the way he's just been pitching in his career, there's probably another 3-year deal on the table. And it may not be for $40 million in 1 year, but it will be worth more than $40 million. So I think it's probably there for 2 years.
Now, this is what's amazing. And I would encourage y'all to read Chandler Rome's article he wrote yesterday about Framber. You got to go back to see the origins of Framber. Mm-hmm. And Mike, I don't know if you've heard this story. I don't know if you and I have talked about this, but he signed for $10,000 in 2015. When he got discovered, the Astros were looking at a prospect, and one of the scouts there said, "Hey, remember you told me you would come look at my guy?" They're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, he's ready, but it's 45 minutes away. By the time we get to the ballpark, it's going to be dark, but we have enough vehicles parked around to light up the ball field." Mm-hmm. And they went to go watch Framber Valdez. And when Framber Valdez threw his fastball, they're like, okay, they like what they saw. And they basically gave him the signal to throw his hook. And the Astros scout was like, throw that again. And threw it a few times. And he says, we'll be in touch with you. Offered him $10,000. Really is a success story in player development for the Astros.
Sure.
But get this. He was worth from 2020 to 2025, 18.6 B WAR and had an ERA plus of 128 in 973 innings, a World Series clinching game, no hitters, the consecutive quality start streak,
Right.
the consecutive score. I mean, this guy has done a lot in an Astros uniform. And I don't mention that thing earlier about giving up the home runs in the playoffs because that's anything I'm hanging my hat on. I'm just thought it was interesting that someone would throw that out there.
Sure.
Throw the
Well,
shade.
you know, everybody's trying to tear people down. I mean, that's just the nature of our culture now.
Exactly. That is. It's like build a man up to tear him down, right? Or
Right.
but look, you're getting a durable starter. You're getting a guy that again, Skubal and Valdez. That is a deadly combination.
Brett, I've been thinking all day
Okay.
that I do not. I think you have the best 1-2 punch in Major League Baseball. I don't think there's any doubt. Now, the part that I've been mulling over, trying to figure out, and maybe some of our listeners can help me out. I don't know if there has ever been two of the best pitchers in baseball at the top of one rotation and
Right.
both be left-handed. I don't think
I
there
didn't think about
is.
that.
I can't think of you know, you go to the top guys like, you know, Randy Johnson. He never had another left-hander that would be even come close to what Framber is. I just
Right.
don't. I just can't think of any, you know, any other combination. And listen, nobody is going to want to play the Tigers. They make the playoffs. If they win the division and they make the playoffs, and whether it's in a 3-game series or a 5-game, really any series, you're not going to want to face them because of those two dudes.
Right.
You know, their offense, they have a middle of the road offense. It's not a great offense. It's also not a terrible offense. They have some options, you know, that's only, you know, the two of them are only, you know, 40 or 36%. If it's a 6-man rotation, 36% of the rotation. But my goodness, you go into a postseason series and you got to face those two dudes, man. That is, you are not looking at a big offensive breakout.
Exactly. Sandy Koufax, one of the top left-handers of all time. Randy Johnson, as you mentioned. There's, you know, Clayton Kershaw is considered one of the best. Warren Spahn, Steve Carlton. God, he was a great pitcher. Lefty Grove, well, of course, the name, right? Whitey Ford, Carl Hubble, and Tom Glavine. And then the one that tops off this list is Madison Bumgarner. You know, I mean, you're right. And when you look back on those teams, you think back on those teams.
I mean, even if you look at it in a different manner, that, you know, maybe, you know, a big portion of those guys are Hall of Famers, but you know, even two of the top pitchers in the league, both being left-handed at the top of a rotation.
Right.
I mean, even if they're not necessarily, you know, Madison Bumgarner, not a Cy Young Award winner. I mean, he's on the list because of really what he did in the postseason, but he was a very good regular season starter.
Yes.
But in the postseason, you know, you're talking about one of the best pitchers in baseball history. You know, some of the stuff that he did was truly remarkable. But it's just crazy that you have, you know, the two guys at the top of this rotation and both being left-handed. It's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. And Detroit, if they can support their pitchers with, you know, hitting, they can go out there and, you know, that's, I think, where their biggest issue probably is consistency in the offensive side.
Sure.
But look, you got those two.
Well,
guys.
here's the other thing that Framber, this bodes well for Framber. Okay. Tiger Stadium, one of the best pitching ballparks in Major League Baseball. It's a natural grass stadium. And, you know, especially early in the season, late in the season, the ball doesn't really like to travel when it's cold. So, you know, some of those home runs he gave up here in Houston, those aren't going to be home runs in Tiger Stadium or Comerica Park, I think it's still called. But it's going to be fun to watch Framber, you know, just beat the ball into that natural grass and let that infield suck it up.
Now, you did. When did Old Tiger Stadium, when did it cease to exist?
I don't remember exactly, but it was in the late 90s. Actually,
Okay.
Old Tiger Stadium, which was absolutely disgusting. It was actually my first
It
regular
was uglier
season.
in person.
Oh, it really was. It was terrible, especially when I got there. I got traded over to Boston, trade deadline 1995. My first regular season American League ballpark was Tiger Stadium. That's where I flew to. I flew to Detroit to meet the Red Sox, and I walked into that place, and I'm like, "Is this what the American League is like?" Oh my gosh! The the clubhouse probably wasn't as big as my living room, which I don't have a big living room. I don't want. I'm not.
Oh, whatever.
My own hand
We
here.
know you live
No,
in a
I have
20,000 square foot
oh,
house, Mike.
good God, no. Good God, no. I mean, it was tiny. It was like the size of a garage, like a 2-car garage. That was then the dugout, you hit your head on the top. They were made, I guess, back in the day, Major League Baseball players were little people because you stand up, you could hit the top of your head on the top of the dugout. We called the bullpen where you sat in the bullpen, which was down the right field line. We called it the submarine. It was actually lowered into the ground. So you watch the game from about this high. This was ground level. That's how you're sitting in the bullpen. The bullpen mound was just a pile of dirt, and that's not an exaggeration. I walked out onto the field, and I used to set up. I would put my toes on the rubber, and then get square just to make sure everything was square. Get square, and then look up just to get the lay of the plate and the background and everything like that. And I looked up, and this is not an exaggeration. The mound or the plate was over there. It wasn't straight. It wasn't. And when I would say it wasn't straight, I'm talking by maybe like 2 or 3 feet. That it just was. And so they just, they were building.
The groundskeeper look like this? Like, it's all set.
That's right. I mean, people need to understand. I got a little bit of OCD. I think everybody does have a little bit, but if you watch my background, everything is always square. It's kind of one of my things. I make sure when I wore my hat was on straight. I wasn't doing the left-handed thing where it was off to one side. And then, so I stand up there, I go, are you freaking kidding me? This is a big league mound. Now,
they're
the
like,
good
Stanton, why are you on that side of the rubber so much?
Why are you pointing at the first base dugout when the plate's over there?
Throw to third.
So now the good thing was, it was everything else in the American League was just fine. That place, they had really let it go. They were building the new stadium, and the new stadium's awesome. I played in that several times. So, but anyways, yeah, that first experience in Tiger Stadium, I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? This is a big league ballpark. I played in rookie league ballparks that were better than that place.
Yeah, that's insane. I remember seeing it on TV.
Yeah. It was unique. It had the right field. I mean, it goes back to the early 1900s.
Yeah, it was like this enclosed, like it was like this.
The outside, it looked like a warehouse. It wasn't very tall. It wasn't.
It looked like a Colosseum, almost like a Roman Colosseum.
On the inside, but on the outside, it just looked like one of the regular buildings in the city. It didn't. You couldn't even tell it was a ballpark.
Wow.
But it had some very unique. Let's see, flagpole on the field. Now the flagpole was at straightaway center, which was about 440 feet. I mean, you needed an anti-aircraft gun to get the ball out of center field. Now, left field was short. Right field was really short, and it had the overhang of the upper deck. And the upper deck was very low, but it had the overhang that you could actually hit the ball in the front row of the upper deck. That would have been it would have been in play if it got through the upper deck. I mean, so it had some very unique features, but they had let it go. And, because they were, they weren't a very good team at the time, and they were building the new ballpark soon. So
yeah, so Mickey Mantle in 1960, hit the ball completely out of Tiger Stadium.
Over the lights, not just
Over
out of
the
the stadium,
lights,
over
yes.
the lights. Yeah.
Estimated
And actually,
500
Cecil
feet.
did that a few times too. Cecil Fielder.
Yeah, he did. He
Mhm.
did. And I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember the Cecil Field. I remember my dad telling me about Mickey Mantle doing
Yeah.
it when Cecil Fielder did it. And then I remember going to that TriStar show when we first met Mickey Mantle.
Mhm.
And he was like, "Hey, I told my son how you hit the ball out of Tiger Stadium." And Mickey's like, he's like, "Yeah, I guess I did." He goes, "I kind of forgot about that." I mean, he's, he's had so much life.
The
But
Mick. Yeah.
but Mike, I think this year though, you're gonna see a lot of really cool storylines.
Sure.
The Pirates have added some people, and we'll get into that later. They've got Paul Skeens. They've tried to add to their arsenal. I think the AL Central is going to be strong this year. The Guardians,
Well, you
have
see that they have met all the teams, and what they usually have in the AL Central is they're all similar.
right.
They all got their strong points, they all got their flaws. But I think you're looking at a very maybe not the best division, but you're looking at a very competitive division up until yesterday is when the Tigers brought in
the Tigers
Framber,
took
and
that
now all of
lead,
a sudden you have. I don't think that the hands down they're going to run away with the division, but when you got two dudes at the top of your rotation like they do now, I mean, you got to look at them as the favorite.
Now, look, from time to time, we're going to be talking about the entire major league. We're not just talking Astros or American League West or Central, or we're going to be hitting everything. And every once in a while, we're going to go what we call off the beaten path. The Winter Olympics, are coming up, here pretty soon. World Baseball Club. We've got all these sporting events. It's a great time to be alive as a sporting fan. Now, if you are familiar with Lindsey Vonn is one of the best
She's a goat. She's a goat.
Sorry,
one of the downhill
skiers. Sorry, I said snowboarder. My bad.
She's a goat.
To snowboarders.
She's one of the greatest of all time.
She's still skiing, but
she's like 39, 40 years old. And I remember 2 Winter Olympics ago when she was skiing in that one, they were talking about how she was going to retire. Then she came back. Then she came back again. So she is, and the crazy thing is, it's not like she's just trying to hold on. She's still one of the best downhill skiers in the world. They're arguably, I don't know if she's arguably the best, but she's top 2 or 3. But yeah, go ahead and tell us what happened.
So basically, late this last month,
about 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, she crashed in a World Cup downhill race and crossed Montana, Switzerland in the final tune-up before the Winter Olympics. She was airlifted off, but she was evaluated, and she completely ruptured her ACL. Now, it typically ends a season, but there's a twist. Instead of withdrawing, Vonn announced she plans to compete at the 2026 Milano Cortina Winter Olympics, targeting events like the downhill. Yeah. She's been posting out workout videos, braces, squats, jumps, box drills, showing
she's a freaking beast, man. She is a beast.
What is going? So she will be competing with a fully torn ACL.
Right. Incredible. And to tell you the truth, I mean, she's one of the most incredible athletes we've seen in any sport. For her to do what she's done for so long and be as competitive, and like I said, she's a GOAT. She's one of the greatest of all time. And then she's going to do it on a bum knee. But you know what? I still completely expect her to do well. I mean, why I would never, ever root against or even say anything bad about Lindsey Vonn, because she's remarkable.
So it says that she is entered in at least one downhill event February 8th. Her plan is to test her knee to see how it responds before deciding on her races. But here's the deal. For most athletes, An ACL tear means months off the snow, but for Vaughn from the AP, they say because she's Lindsey Vaughn, it means see you at the starting gate.
Yeah. So it's this is one of those storylines that the Winter Olympics, it's every 4 years, and if this were just, this would have been a really cool story if the person was, the young lady was 25 years old and she blew out her ACL and she's still going to try and ski, much
Right.
less, a multi-time medal winner and, one of the best downhill skiers, female bound downhill skiers we've ever seen. And she's going to try it. To tell you the truth, I'm going to be a little surprised if she actually pulls out. I think that the way she's been working out, the videos that we've seen, she is expecting to go out there and just do what she does, which is win.
It's funny. And I forget which comedian it was. I think it was Sebastian Maniscalco was talking about how when he was young, he's like, you would get hurt and you would get back up and you would just be running.
Right.
He said, now in the middle of the night, I go to the bathroom and I stub my toe. I'm down for like 3 hours. 3 hours I'm down.
Right.
My wife wakes up. What's wrong with you? I stubbed my toe. I can't move. I can't walk. I need to go to the
Can't
ER.
go to work today. Can't go to work.
Cannot go to work. Text the boss. We'll miss work. Major injury.
Can't do my podcast. Got a bad toe.
Or like on The Office when Michael Scott burns his foot on the George Foreman grill.
Right.
No, that's a good story. So, some of y'all were like, hey, where's Mike and Brett? Look, we were doing some pre-show prep and this was part of it. And this, I like this. We're definitely gonna go off the beaten path from time to time because you know what? We love talking baseball, but there's other things.
We're sports
going
fans. We're sports fans.
Yeah,
and when you get a story like this, I mean, this is something you have to talk about.
Now, let me ask you this. I don't know why I just picked up the pencil. That was weird. Did you see, so Rich Eisen, and this is, I'll give you my off the beaten path. Rich Eisen showed and I know you're not a super big NFL fan, but the Super Bowl is this weekend. And there was this mural or this painting made where it had the San Francisco 49ers stadium, Levi Stadium, and then it had all these NFL players walking towards the stadium. And Rich Eisen goes, you know what's interesting about this painting? He goes, zoom in, look at the two guys that are closest to the stadium. And it was Sam Darnold and it was Drake May. They were the closest guys, and this was a preseason painting done.
Right.
He goes, what are the chances of those two guys? And he goes, Sam Darnold is actually closest to the trophy. So does that mean that it's already determined that they're gonna win the Super Bowl? I thought that was wild. And I mean, you can blow holes in the theory because sure. Cam Ward is there next to him and some other guys. But the two closest dudes are the two quarterbacks that are in the Super Bowl this weekend.
That's pretty cool.
So, well, hey, you know what? This has been a fun show. Mike and I got some stuff cooking. I'm telling you, number one, you got to get your back to the bullpen shirt. You got to go to Ram Shirts, get them because, look, guys, once everybody finds out about us, these shirts are going to be selling like hotcakes. So get yours now. That's right. Get yours now. We will definitely be on. And there's some other things we're talking about, doing some different things with the podcast that we haven't done before. So we'll be excited to unveil some stuff more and more. But we're definitely going to be expanding and joining a bigger family. I'm just going to leave it at that. Mike, you got any parting words for us?
No, I don't. Everybody enjoy the stupid Super Bowl, not stupid bowl. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah. So let's USA Olympics.
That's right.
Coming up. So we need to, make sure we support our young athletes and maybe some of our not so young team. Athletes.
Support your curling team.
There you
the
go.
USA hockey team, the curling. Thankfully, there's no break dancing in these Olympics, but I digress. So, hey, from myself, from Mike, and everybody here at the Back of the Bullpen team, we thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you for joining us for another session, taking it back to the bullpen.
Adios.
I'm looking to the bullpen to bring my lefty in. Keep the lead and make your team look pedestrian. And send your Woodhouse will swing for the fence. You know it's money around here, and I ain't talking expense. Strike one, heat it low in the way you can't hit it. You know you wanna start a rally, but you better forget it. Strike two, off speed, same spot, your car looking. Get ready at the plate, this time you're not cooking. Strike three, swinging out of the zone. You ain't even touch it first. Tell me how they gonna drive you home. Walk it back, looking like we ain't cool then. The game's over, might as well put them back to the bullpen, oh yeah.